What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Welcome to Oh So Simplified, coming to you with the video here about how to quit your 9 to 5 job. Actually, it's a review of a video from a Diary of CEO. I'll jump into it right away. It's something that I kind of known, but like if any of the things that I'm putting up here is resonating with people, then I feel like this is a good video to check out. Link will be in the description below. But let's jump into this. I don't really know who this guy is. His name's like Manish Pabrai. No idea who he is, but he has a good concept for how to do this. So I'll just start it now.
Must be at least another 30, 40 hours that I could work on my startup.
Could you show me this in context of
Right.
this?
So he basically builds out a block. This is going to represent time, and I'm just going to skip through. He goes over many, many other things. So if you want to watch the whole video, it's almost 2 hours. But I'll just really focus on the time blocks where I really think this is the main piece that you can take away from it.
If we look at our whole week, for example, these beautifully arranged Legos, if I take one of these blocks of Legos, so each one of those blocks in there is 2 hours. So 8 hours a day. We are sleeping 8 hours a day, right? And we're doing that 7 days a week, right? So basically, we've got 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. We're sleeping. The blue Legos are showing our 40 hours a week. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, we're working, right? Then we get to other, preparing dinner and showering, shaving, getting ready, whatever else. So that's about 4 hours a day on the weekdays, which is including commute time, and about 8 hours a day on the weekend. Then we get to free time, social media and watching Netflix and hanging out with friends, going for dinner. And we've got quite a bit. We've got about 4 hours a day of doing that and about 8 hours a day on the weekends. So this is kind of typical, what a typical week for most people would look like, right?
So this is how he starts out. Basically, the main concept is this is most people's typical week in terms of how they built it out. And I'm going to fast forward some of the things that he ends up talking about and the things that I definitely agree with. Number one, because this is going to actually shift work. Do not think that you should quit your day job to start a job, especially if you have something that's paying the bills. If you do start something, having the pressure of feeling like you need it to make money right away is going to make it fail, make you hate it. And then you're going to be in a position where you're hustling backwards, where you're having to make short term decisions um, because you need money now, ignoring the long term ramifications of building a business on short term gains and not long term vision. So that's one concept he basically brings up. The main thing that he's going to end up removing is this free time aspect. And I'm just going to skip over to what it looks like when he's kind of redoes everything.
So on the weekends, I'm going to do 10 hours a day because I'm not working, right? And on the weekdays, I'm going to do 4 hours a day because
So essentially, he's removing the free time and he's reduced the other. Now, some of the other piece I think is going to be difficult, but I think the mental framework is there. I'll just let him finish this thought process as he builds out this business.
got other things to do because I have a job and whatever else is going on. So there's my weekdays, 5 days there where I'm putting in 4 hours a day, and then I'm putting in 10 hours on the weekend. And the free time, this is not as exciting as Pounding Dave. Pounding Dave continues.
Out of context, that sounds wild. Pause, YouTube chill, please.
Till he says either get off my back or here's your purchase order. Is
Even
very
sounds
exciting.
wilder in that context.
It's way more exciting
Talking
than
about calling
playing
somebody.
some social media or watching Netflix or whatever else.
Which is what people currently do with their free
Right.
time.
So one of the litmus tests of whether you should be doing a startup or not is yellow needs to be more exciting than orange.
So this is the part where I like his framework. I just think that the idea idea of like exciting, I think is a bit of a misnomer. Um, there's a really good book that I would suggest to read. It's called something along the terms of like Becoming Yourself Now. I think it's by Dan Hardy. Um, I think that's his name, something like Benjamin Hardy, something like that. But I digress. I don't think it necessarily needs to be exciting in terms of the day to day. Cold calling people, like for me, no matter what I'm doing it for, is not going to be exactly exciting. But the thought process of your future and where you want to be in the future and who you want to be in the future should be exciting enough to pull you away from those free time activities. And those free time activities, he's calling it free time, and maybe everybody has different ways of living. For me, if I'm just gonna be honest with myself, there's also activities I do that are like just not really conducive to what you'd want to do in the future. That it's like if you're spending your time doing that instead of building your business or building what you want in the future, then what is more important? His other spot here is on this green aspect, on the green piece right over here. He's also saying that you should try to like get closer to your job, reduce your commute, reduce some of those things. I would agree with that if that's possible. I do also think that there's a way to just shift things around to make this work. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the blocks that I'm taking out the most of, like right now, I'm up in like five something in the morning shooting this before I have to go commute to work, is I do take out a little bit of the sleep. Um, so you kind of got to find it where you need to find it. I don't think the work is something that you can take out because you need the money to kind of fund yourself and pay the bills as you build things up. If you need some extra capital, you do need income coming in, whether you're going to get a loan or whatever, because even for a loan, you need to prove you have income coming in to pay that off. So even if you're going to borrow the money for your business, having a stable income in the beginning is going to be important. Removing the free time and replacing the free time for business time, and then also being intentional. And that's the thing I like about these blocks is about the amount of time. So he is basically carving out 20 hours on the weekend, and then 4 times 5 is 20 hours. So that's 40 hours. So he's basically working 80 hours between these two jobs. Now, for somebody like me, that is actually not. Um, it's not the word's not practical, or it's not really feasible for somebody like me in my case because of some of the other things I do that you could kind of say are connecting to the business. I'm definitely creating like an MMA brand, train MMA a lot, compete in MMA and jujitsu, also do some other things that are going to take pieces of my time, but I have to understand that I'm making a trade, that that time could be spent building, the online portions of the business. And if I do want to build a business, I need to put in significant time every day. Now, he's saying 40 hours a day. And I can pull up other videos. There's a guy named Brandon Carter that kind of goes through this. That I do actually think if you work 4 hours a day on average, which would be closer to 28 hours a week, um, hard on something, that generally it can move. Even like, let me not say that, but basically, if you put 4 hours in a day, I think that that would be a considerable amount of time, especially if you're going from 0 to 4 hours a week, dedicated towards something. But the main concept that I really like about what he's doing is that he is actually blocking this off and creating a significant amount of time of which he's going to be getting this work done. That's something that I definitely think that I've kind of shifted away from. That it's like you can't think that you're going to be able to create something spending an hour or 30 minutes, probably more like an hour, hour and a half, but hour and a half every once in a while and think that it's going to get any traction. You're going to need to be putting a considerable amount of time, understand that you're competing against people that are this is their full-time job. This is what they spend all day doing. Um, and understand that. And I really like this video. I mean, his claim is that he was able to do this in 9 months. Maybe if you're putting 40 hours a week, you can get it done in 9 months with issues of where, I feel like things are going as far as, I live in the US, the country, things of that sort. I really think that it's more urgent than ever. I do think there is going to be a large gap between the haves and the have-nots in the coming 5 years, and people that have not been able to invest in assets, create vehicles that can generate large uh, boats of cash and large amounts of leverage are going to be kind of left in a position where, um, you're kind of just given what other people are going to be given to you. And I really think we have about 5 years before AI makes a huge impact in terms of the amount it's able to generate for a small amount of individuals, and where the rest of the individuals are going to be left figuring out what to do with their time. So I'm kind of taking this heed in this year as being kind of the year that if you're going to make it happen, you need to make it happen. Otherwise, just kind of go down the career route, so to speak, back against the wall type of mentality. But this kind of framework is really what I'm working with. And just being dedicated that each week, each day, there's a considerable amount of time that I can dedicate to the things that are important to me. And in the context of this with the business, that this needs to be a consistent approach. And I really like this video. I watched the whole thing. He does have some other pieces that he describes, but in terms of what I thought was the most valuable and simple, and this is also simplified, simple is generally the best, is just this framework that you can literally just block out hours of time. You can take out the 40 hours for work. You can take out for me, might be closer to 6 times 7. So about, what is that, 42 hours a week um, of sleep. And then you can put in the business, and then as much as you can shrink down the other so that you have more time. Or what I'm really trying to do is kind of combine the business and the other. So some of these workouts and things that I'm doing, traveling, competitions, using that as content that I could also put in, that it's more time that I'm spending in the business when I'm combining and making more of an integrated life between the business and the other here. So that's really it for this one. Just wanted to make something quick, get something up here, be true to something like this video, and put in some time early in the morning to get something up. If you like the content, like, comment, subscribe. You can even dislike if you didn't like. Any feedback will do. And until next time, you know what it is. Peace.